Assalamualaikum friends, today I am going to talk about the histamine receptor. So in the previous video I have already talked about the histamine definition, its location of production, synthesis and release of histamine. So in this video I am going to talk about the histamine receptor. So there are four types of receptor found in the body. For the histamine, one is the H1 receptor, the H2 receptor, the H3 receptor and the H4 receptor. So the H1 and H2 receptor are present abundantly in the body. So I'm going to talk about the response produced by these two receptor in response to histamine. So I'm going to skip the H3 and H4 receptor. So when histamine acts on the H1 receptor, it will produce the following response. It will act on the exocrine glands of the nasal and bronchi to produce the mucus. Second, it will also act on the intestinal smooth muscle, and it produces the cramps and diarrhea. And it also acts on the bronchial smooth muscle, smooth muscle in causing constriction on the bronchial smooth muscle, which lead to production of symptoms like asthma symptom and decrease the lung capacity. Third, when the histamine acts on the H1 receptor, a sensory nerve ending, and it will cause itching and pain. So these are the response which is mediated by the H1 receptor, and the response mediated by the histamine act on the H2 receptor. So the parietal cell contain the H2 receptor. Parietal cell of the stomach contain H2 receptor, and when histamine act on the H2 receptor, it will produce the gastric acid. And there are other organs in which both H1 and H2 receptor are present. H1 and H2 receptor are present. So the histamine will also produce action in these organs like cardiovascular system, So the histamine will cause to dilate the blood vessel. It will dilate the blood vessel. And decrease the peripheral resistance, which can cause the hypotension. Mainly the blood pressure is determined by cardiac output and total peripheral resistance. So when the blood vessel dilate, the total peripheral resistance will be decreased, and blood pressure will also be decreased. And they also cause to produce the positive chronotropism, which is the increase in heart rate, and this is by H2 mediated response. And the H1 mediated response in the heart will produce the positive ionotropism. So in the skin, it it will cause the blood vessel to dilate. And it will produce a special type of response which is called a triple response. triple response mean that it will produce wheel formation. Wheel, it will produce a red area like wheel formation. Here you can see it will produce redness in the wheel formation, and it will produce flare or halo, which is the blur region around the wheel formation. Here you can see. So this was all about the histamine receptor and the response produced when the histamine act on this receptor. So thanks for watching the video.